Hey, what's up guys, Nick here. Today's video is going to be a very interesting one. Today, I'll be discussing a question that I asked myself yesterday, and that was whether if I could only play one Halo game for the rest of my life, what would that game be? Yesterday, I was kind of just sitting there looking at different Halo games and thinking, you know, if I could only play one of these right now, which one would I choose? Then I decided to make that into the bigger scale, and if I could only choose one to play for the rest of my life, which Halo game would it be? Obviously, I'm not regarding the MCC as one Halo game because it has 5 different ones within the one game, so MCC does not count for this question. I actually took this question to my Twitter account, but the thing with Twitter is I can only put 4 different options. So the 4 different games that I put on Twitter was Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach, and Halo 5. I wasn't too sure on what game would be the most popular. I was thinking Halo 3, as you can obviously see, Halo 3 is winning by far. I'm actually kind of shocked that it's received nearly 3,000 votes, but Halo 3 is the obvious fan favorite here. So I thought I would discuss with you guys today, if I could only play one Halo game for the rest of my life, what one would I choose and why? And I also want you guys to drop in the comments down below what Halo game you would play for the rest of your life. For example, just imagine you're dropped on a desert island. You have a monitor in one arm and then an Xbox controller and one Halo game in the other. And for whatever reason, this desert island has access to electricity and internet, but that's beside the point. Pretty tough one, not gonna lie. It's a really difficult question. Okay, so I'm gonna start this discussion off by letting you guys know what games I'm gonna knock off my list, so the ones that I wouldn't even consider wanting to spend the rest of my life with. And this isn't because I think they're bad games, it's simply because I don't think I would want to spend my entire life playing just these games, because I don't think I'd want to or be able to handle them forever. So the first game that I would kind of knock off my list, the one I don't think I'd be able to spend my entire life playing, is Halo 3 ODST. As much as I absolutely adore that campaign, I feel like I would get bored. I feel like I would run out of stuff to do in that game very fast. You can only spend so much time walking about New Mombasa as an ODST before you think to yourself, you know what? This kind of sucks. It kind of sucks being super slow, being super weak, constantly fighting the same brutes over and over again. Yeah, you have firefight, but, you know, after a while that as well will get kind of boring, I think. The lack of multiplayer is what really kills that option for me. As much as I do love ODST, I think long term it just... Oh, that's a blaze. No, dude! I didn't know I had a blaze! Guys, always make sure you check what weapon you're about to drop before you drop it. I kind of did that off instinct and I lost my weapon. Feels bad. So ODST is first off the list. After that, it would be Halo 4. And you guys know that I love Halo 4. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore that game. But I feel like as well, I just kind of wouldn't want to play that forever. It does have some really good features. The multiplayer is fun, the campaign is great, it has a forge mode, it has split screen, so it has everything you could really want in a Halo game. But again, I just don't think I could see myself playing it for an extended period of time. I feel like it just is a little bit too limited for what I would want for a game that I'd be spending so much time with. Okay, so the next game would have to be Halo 2, and I know a lot of people absolutely adore their Halo 2, okay? I get Halo 2 is a fan favorite, people will forever love that game, and I'm probably a terrible person for not even considering this game. But since Halo 2 is one of the earlier Halo games, it may have split screen, it may have great multiplayer, and a great campaign, but it has no Forge, and I feel like the lack of Forge would really get to me. I feel like just playing the same maps over and over again, even though the gameplay is very fun and very satisfying, I feel like eventually I just wouldn't want to play it anymore. I feel like the gameplay just wouldn't tide me over forever, unfortunately. Okay, so the fourth one that I'm knocking off my list would have to be Halo Combat Evolved. I'll admit that Combat Evolved probably has one of the best campaigns for a long-term amount of time, simply because it's so big and there's so many different ways to explore the different levels in that game. But in my opinion, it feels a little bit old and clunky at this stage, and I feel like running myself over and tapping myself with a warthog every 5 seconds would get very annoying. As well as the grenades in that game are absolute nukes, so I feel like I would just frustrate myself into oblivion if I was just stuck playing that forever. But I know that a lot of people out there happily could play Combat Evolved forever because it's like their favorite Halo game. So if any of those 4 that I mentioned are maybe the ones that you would choose to spend the rest of your life with, please don't think of me as a terrible person. I just personally couldn't see myself wanting to play them forever. That's the really cool thing about Halo. There's so many different games, there's so many different types of Halo games that everyone pretty much has one that suits them perfectly. But the last 3 Halo games that I feel like I could spend a good amount of time with, but which one could I spend forever with? Which one would be the absolute #1 game that I feel like if I had to, could play forever? Okay, in third place would have to be Halo 3, and I know that's kind of a questionable choice, as Halo 3 was actually the most voted one in my Twitter poll, which I showed a little bit earlier. It seems to be the one that people feel like they could play for absolutely ever. I mean, hey, look at the game right now. Halo 3 is very popular, and it's 11 years old, so people obviously still enjoy playing Halo 3 to some degree. Even though I absolutely adore Halo 3, it's one of my favorite Halo games. It's maybe my overall favorite Halo game, to be honest with you. Even though I love it so much, I feel like long term it would be a little bit too limiting. I feel like after a while I might just get a little bit bored of playing it. It has everything you could ever want. It has split screen, it has Forge, it has a great multiplayer, a fantastic campaign. It has everything you could basically want in a game. But Halo 3 is definitely the Halo game that I find myself getting the most frustrated with out of any. I don't know why. I think the gameplay or how the BR works. I just find myself getting really annoyed by that game very fast compared to all the others. And that's even including Halo 5. I get very frustrated at Halo 3 on a very fast basis. If I was to spend my entire life playing that game, it would just lead to me becoming some kind of psychopath or just an absolute maniac to some degree. Okay, let's continue the discussion as I was really interrupted by my game ending there. But coming in at number 2 would have to be... It's a pretty tough one, not gonna lie. It's a really hard call between the two remaining games, but I feel like number 2 would have to be Halo Reach. Now, don't get me wrong, Halo Reach is a fantastic game. It's one of my favorite Halo games. It even has my favorite campaign out of all of them. The Forge is absolutely fantastic in that game. You know, Forge World is incredible. To this day, I'll probably never forget the first time that I ever stepped foot in Forge World, where you spawned in and had this massive, expansive bit of land just to build whatever and just forge whatever you could think of. It was absolutely amazing. So Reach is definitely a game you could spend a lot of time playing, maybe even forever, I don't know. But I think the one big drawback for me on Reach is the multiplayer. I feel like if I was to play that multiplayer for an extended period of time, man, I don't know what would happen to me. I said earlier that 3 is the one that I would get the most frustrated at, but there's parts of Reach that make me even more angry than that. And that's all because of 2 words that you guys might know pretty well on this channel. Armor lock, if that rings a bell. I feel like if I had to face armor lock for the rest of my life, I might just throw the disc into the ocean and just jump in after it, because I would not be able to handle that any longer. It would drive me insane. That mixed with jetpacks and using the DMR but missing my shots because of bloom, it wouldn't be a good mixture, okay? So even though the Forge is really good and the campaign is incredible, I feel like the multiplayer side of things, which is probably the part that I would spend the most time playing, would really let me down. Okay, so this now leaves us with the number 1 spot, the one that I feel like I could spend my entire life playing if I was forced into this situation. By the way, let me just point out, I feel like it would be absolutely awful if you were forced to play the same game forever and no other games. That would be really bad. But for the sake of this question, I guess I gotta answer it. So coming in at number 1 on the list is obviously Halo 5, as that's the only game that's kind of left on the list. Halo 5 is actually bottom of my Twitter poll, so the fact that it's my number 1 might shock a few people. Even though Halo 3 is my favorite overall Halo game, even though Halo Reach has my favorite campaign out of any Halo game, Halo 5 would have to be the one that I would pick to play forever, to be honest. You guys should probably know the Forge in this game is absolutely spectacular. Like, it is mind-blowing what you can do with it in this game. You can basically make any game you want within Halo 5 due to the custom games and the Forge and stuff like that. It is absolutely mind-blowing just what people have come up with in this game in the 3 years that it's been out. And even though I don't even know how to use Forge myself, it is something that I would probably try and learn if I'm stuck with this game forever. You know, I would explore every facet of this game and play it to death until I knew everything about it. So I honestly feel like the Forge in Halo 5 is good enough to carry this game to the number 1 spot on my list, just because it opens the game up to be very long term. It's something that you could play for an extended period of time versus the other games where I feel like everything is either just not as good, you know, like the Forge mode in other Halo games just aren't as advanced as this one. And the fact you can tweak the settings to be like any way you want in this game also help it out quite a bit. I know you'll never be able to make Halo 3 and Halo 5 perfectly, but you can get it pretty close. You can adjust it to be as close as you can get, I guess. And I don't want you guys to think that Nick is just being a 343 fanboy, because that's not the case. I'm thinking very wise here. I'm thinking long term, what game could I play forever without getting that bored? I feel like with my Twitter poll, a lot of people started answering what was their favorite Halo game versus what game could they play forever, because they didn't really think long term. As much as you love Halo 3, could you play that game for 60 years straight without wanting to absolutely go insane? Versus this game where you could hop into Forge, make any custom game you can think of, and then play that in a custom game. I just feel like what doors Halo 5 can open up for your creativity is enough to kind of carry it long term versus other Halo games. And obviously I'm someone that's a really big fan of the Halo 5 gameplay. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I like it a lot, so I don't really mind that too much. That is why Halo 5 is number 1 on my list. The Forge, the amount of options and games you can play just from your own mind within this game are basically limitless. I know you can say that, oh, I can just forge stuff in Halo 3 or Reach or whatever, but you know, Halo 5 is just that far ahead. It's just absolutely insane. But I want you guys to drop some comments down below. What do you think of this list? What game would you want to play forever if you had to choose one? If you had to choose one Halo game, what one do you think you could stick with forever? This was just a random little question that popped into my head yesterday, and I thought it would make a pretty interesting video topic, and hopefully you guys enjoyed my overview of all the games and why I wouldn't want to spend my time with them and why I'd want to spend my time with Halo 5. I've played this game for over 3 years already, and somehow I'm still playing it and still very much enjoying it. So add another 80 years on top of that, and it's all the same. That's not true whatsoever, and if I'm gonna be real with you guys, playing Halo 5 for 80 years straight just would never happen. I could never do that. I would rather give up gaming than play for 80 years straight. But for the sake of this question, Halo 5 wins for sure. So make sure you guys let me know what you think you would play forever down in the comments down below. Drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're brand new, I would really appreciate it. But thank you guys for watching, love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.